The following program is a presentation of the Options Insider Radio Network. For more programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio in iTunes. And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market. From unusual activity alerts to market updates and trading strategies. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block. With your host, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com and co-hosts Mike Tusaw from KnowYourOptionsInc.com and Mark Sebastian from OptionPit.com. The Option Block is brought to you by Options Express. Don't spend time worrying about your broker. At Options Express, security, stability, and account protection are the most important responsibilities to our customers. Secure account access, enhanced financial protection, entrusted with over $7 billion in customer assets, established financial stability. Options Express lets you trade with confidence. Stocks, options, and futures, all in one account. Trade with a specialist. Visit optionsexpress.com/OXradio to open your free account. Options Express is a member of FINRA, SIPC, and NFA.
And welcome to the Option Block. That's right. It's me again. It's Sebastian. Mark Sebastian. By the way, that's not a nickname. All right. If your nickname is taking the beginning of your last name, that's not a nickname. That's an abbreviation. Anyway, but before we digress too much, this is Mark Sebastian from OptionPit.com. We've got an interesting panel of guests with us today because none of the regular commentators are here except for myself and the aforementioned Andrew Giovinazzi. How you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing good. Mark's
right.
not doing good, but I'm doing good.
That's great. Well, glad you're here at my right-hand man. It's great to always have you here. And joining us is, a professional trader and Option Pit professional member and all-around great guy, Marcus Felker.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, welcome, Marcus. Before we move along too much, Marcus, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dig into the meat of this.
Yeah, sure. Well, Mark, you gave me a pretty good introduction already. My name is Marcus Felker, professional option trader. Started off just running my own book of options, kind of the old local, but not on the floor, on the screen. I'm too young to have traded on the floor. And now just recently moved into doing advisory work for a couple clients across the country. So glad to have you guys invite me.
Oh, we're super happy. So, with that, let's move into the trading block.
The Trading Block.
Here we are on the trading block. If this is the first time listening to your show, if you want to know what this is, listen to another show, because I'm not going to describe it like the way Longo always does. I don't know if you guys listen, but he always does this. This is the section of the show where we section of the show this. And if you can't figure out what the trading block is anyway, then you've got bigger problems than figuring out what section of the show this is. So a couple interesting things. Let's start with the market as a whole. Not exactly the nicest day. We had the S&P closed down 20 points on their lows. The Dow was down. It was funny. I was lamenting the fact that we haven't had a 2% day. And then we have a day where, we see the S&P's down about 20 points at 1304, threatening that 1300 level. We had the Dow down about 150, the NASDAQ off 60, led by, as we call it, the Apple Plus Index, led by Apple, which just got obliterated today. And, not shockingly, we saw a nice little pop in the VIX, although, Marcus, what was the final reading on the VIX?
24.40.
Yeah, I mean, it's up, but not like insanely up, right? It's not like the VIX rallied 5 handles, which leads me to think that we're going to see more fireworks today. What were your guys' thoughts on the market today?
I just think it's more of the same. We just keep we're going to grind down until June 18th. We're going to grind down. We're going to recover a little, grind down. I mean, tomorrow we might get a little something from Facebook, but other than that, there's no news coming out of Washington. All the economic news is kind of flat, and everybody's just worried about what's going to happen with the euro, and that's kind of where we are. So I think it's just more grindola.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Is that we have absolutely no catalyst for a move up other than if Ben Bernanke shows up on CNBC tomorrow morning and actually starts printing $100 bills in front of Kramer.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious.
I mean, he's got no more monetary policy left. He's like, you guys got to do something on the fiscal side. You got to do something because I'm out of bullets.
The thing that really is interesting, and it's, this is literally, I think Andrew, I've said this to you a million times in Skype. It's like Yogi Berra. It's like deja vu all over again.
I know.
It is almost an exact replay of last summer, just a little early, And so if it follows suit, we'll look at, VIX of 40 here in a couple days as, VIX vol of all hits 130% again.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely lining up for something like that. I don't think there's any way the VIX doesn't do that. At least breaking 30. One of the interesting things I've been watching, I put this out yesterday at Option Pit, was the fact that we've got bonds now at absolute all-time highs. And the VIX is only at 24. Every time we've seen bonds kind of panic spiking, which is what they were doing today, we've seen VIX in the 30s, at least into the 30s. So, and usually VIX leads, and this time we actually see the VIX falling. So I was really surprised at kind of what's happening. I mean, and I know that that's monetary policy. It's money running from Europe.
Exactly.
And it's all entering the U.S. Treasury. So, and this just goes to show kind of why it's important to do smart, fiscally responsible things when you can, not when you have to. It's there was a guy on the floor, Kevin Kennedy, and this is actually in my book, KGK, everyone knows him as, and he always used to be the broker. He used to call himself Broker of the Year, but he always used to walk in and he'd try and sell you some garbage put that you absolutely didn't want. And he'd be like, hey, buy when you can, not when you have to, hey. and but it's true. We still don't have vol absolutely through the roof. I think that out of the money premium looks like a absolutely good purchase here, and you're silly if you're not. And there's some real opportunities to back spread skews not insane. So if you don't want to just go out and buy a put, you can put on some sort of back spread. There's clearly opportunities here, and so I like the concept of doing something smart. Now, we also saw oil and some of the commodities. Who wants to do, Marcus, you trade some of the commodities, right?
Yeah, I actually do a decent amount of work in gold.
So why don't you
sometimes much to my chagrin.
I know, yeah. Why don't you give us the gold and oil rundown today?
All right, let me put. Well, so as most people who are listening probably know, gold's been getting absolutely shellacked as of late. It's my opinion, and I think a lot of others, that we had gold pretty much shift from being, call it a couple years ago, a flight to safety to just being lumped in with the other commodities. And as such, with everyone in Europe liquidating and raising cash, along with the euro strengthening, we've seen the gold sell off basically right to those panic liquidation lows just about from earlier last year. We saw gold vol, prior to this drop off. I think Mark, I had posted on some of our chat rooms talking to some other people, really saying that relative to other quote unquote hedge products, if you will, that premium in gold was really cheap. And that, it may start making sense to just be picking up, delta neutral if you just want to be a pure premium play, or, picking a lean as to where you think gold may go. And well, if you look at from the lows of IV30 of 1380, we're trading, let's see here, 1930 right now. And I was checking out the skew curve, and it does seem a little abnormal in that the GLD, because that's what I have the good skew curve on, is that normally you see it pretty symmetrical, as should be in a commodity. And you were seeing the put skew get bid up, which sort of was tipping its hat to where gold has been going. And now the real question today is, was today everyone who was there early and was ahead of the crowd, was that them taking their profits? Or is this now the world getting the false start on when QE is going to come down the pipe?
I mean, it's a QE play, it's a euro getting crushed play, it's a technical play, it's a fundamental play. There's a lot of reasons why gold probably makes sense to be catching a little pop down at 1,500 an ounce.
Yeah, and I think one of the more interesting plays, if anybody's wanting to buy gold, is to buy gold along with buying the dollar index. Mostly because with all the nonsense in Euroland, that at least can remove some of the dead weight, if you will, that's been pushing down on gold, and that's the euro moving down in value.
That's interesting. That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I was just, the last thing on gold, sort of showing the physical supply tightening up, is spot to COMEX month 1 was backward for a bit today, which is fairly unusual and normally, is giving you an indication on how tight physical supply is. Yeah.
So what about in oil? Anything interesting in oil?
To be honest, I have not been watching oil as closely. The big thing, anecdotally from not watching it, is that you got the WTI Brent spread coming in, and with
which is good for gas prices.
Right, and you've got the I believe it's the Seaway pipeline, starting to hopefully help the glut in Cushing.
Yeah.
But to be honest, for the last couple of weeks, I have not really been watching oil. I've been mostly focusing on gold, mostly because I have.
That's when the trades in. Well, oil was way overpriced. Now that it's back down to near 90, I think it's more fairly valued. I still think it could shave. WTI could shave $10, and Brent could shave 13 or 14 at least. But at least it's somewhat back to normal. Now you're saying, Mark, you haven't talked about Facebook yet. We're going to save that for the strategy block. We're going to talk about about Facebook and other IPOs there. You guys have anything else you want to throw into the trading block roundup?
No, you guys covered it pretty good. I just I'm looking for my guess US Open tomorrow. That's my guess at 35.
35?
Could be wrong. Yep, that's my.
Yeah. Well.
How about First Solar pinning 15?
Yeah.
There's a big block of buys came in.
Well, how about Apple pinning 525?
Yeah.
That could happen.
Good.
Apple is getting destroyed. Any thoughts on that, or is it just?
I just think people are raising money, and I think it's going to be a giant. People are selling their Apple and buying Facebook. Maybe, maybe they have to reallocate. They're going to get the big pop on Facebook.
Facebook's definitely going to reallocate the NASDAQ some.
When do they? They're not going into the NASDAQ immediately, though, right? They've got to wait for a while.
Probably probably the next quarter.
Right. Well, you'll see, but that's not immediate, right? So,
right.
At some point, they most likely will be, but that'll be a $100 billion company being added. So,
yep,
it'll change things up a bit.
It will change things up a little. That'll reduce some of Apple's exposure. But yeah, aside from that, that's we'll move from the trading block and into the odd block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by theoptionsinsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
I went through and found a couple of interesting trades. The first one is American Eagle Outfitters. They got earnings next week. Customer came in and bought the June 20, August 23 call spread. So we bought the 20 calls, sold the 23 calls, paid about a quarter. Either you guys into American Eagle? Other than that's where I buy my shorts.
Sadly, I haven't bought anything at American Eagle since I was in high school. But
I don't think there's one in Maine.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, this is the type of play I love into earnings. It's a long gamma. It's a smarter way to trade a call spread if you have the margin. It lets you get long gamma, short vega at the same time while having a directional opinion. This is the type of play I really like seeing if you're expecting a pop in the stock and then vol to completely collapse. So what the guy is basically hoping is that AEO blows through 20 up to maybe 22. Then, the vol comes in, so the gamma explodes on the June 20s. So it picks up all this delta from the June 20s. And then with vol getting collapsed on the 23 calls, he loses a bunch of delta from the 23 calls. So he actually ends up a lot longer than he thought. It's absolutely a great play. And if you have portfolio margin and you think American Eagle is gonna outperform Abercrombie and Fitch, which this guy clearly does, that's a great way to play it. Any thoughts that you got, Marcus? I'm sure you do trades like this ever.
Oh yeah, I'm not doing it here. I wish I would have picked that up a little earlier, but thanks for the heads up.
Well, earnings aren't until March 24th, so you can certainly take a look at that. All right, now this is one of my old favorites. I made markets in Elan for about 3 years when I was on the floor. Stocks trading around $13. Customer came in and bought the ELN, 10,000 of the ELN, Jan 22 calls for $1.50, lifting the offer. Now, this has to be a drug play. Now, their big drug's always been Tisabri, which is for multiple sclerosis. But they clearly, somebody thinks something is up in Elan. They're either a buyout target or they're about to see a run, because there aren't a lot of good reasons to buy the Jan 2013 22 calls on a $13 stock lifting the offer. Any other reason you'd be wanting to do something like that, Marcus?
No, I'm just looking at what's interesting is they didn't move the vol very much on picking up that many, just 3/4 of a point just about.
Yep, they lifted the offer though. So, but it looks like it traded all at once. So there's probably a big cross. Probably, the broker probably already had the order filled before he got to the floor. And typically, this actually goes out to all you institutional guys listening. Tell your broker if your broker is not showing your whole size, he's probably getting you worse fills. All right, Andrew, stop me if this is wrong, but who's going to get better fills? A guy that does 10 1,000 lots, or a guy that does a 10,000 lot all at once?
Oh, well, the guy that does the 10,000 lot all at once, he will get a one price fill at least.
Right.
The guy that's doing all the little trades is just going to get, he's going to get nickel and dime.
He's going to run the vol up.
Yep.
You buy 1,000 contracts. 1,000 contracts is enough to get the market makers to move the vol, for sure. And so piecemealing those big trades usually doesn't work out in your favor.
For sure.
Yeah. So
fast forward 5 years from now when you have the algorithms picking off options, and it'll be different.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. But for now, the smart paper does it all at once, I'm telling you. All right, now our final one, CLNE, Clean Energy. Shockingly, major put buyer today. And funny thing is, I'll bet you, I don't know what Clean Energy does. 9-1, they dump toxic waste or something like that.
No, I think they're actually the guys who call when you need.
They're the opposite. They're a natural gas. They're like a natural gas substation provider for fleets.
Yeah, that's when the name Clean Energy basically denotes they must work in fossil fuels. So, because no one's going to say fossil fuel energy, hate us. customer came in and bought 8,000 of the 11 puts, and another customer came in and bought about 6,000 of the 12 puts. It's about four times its normal daily volume, all in puts, bought at all sorts of different prices. Thoughts, guys? CLNE.
That is one ugly looking chart.
It's a really ugly.
It looks like nat gas minus a big nat gas fund blowing up and needing to liquidate.
Yep. So
it's not a very, and it was a darling with the nat gas stuff, but the company's just not made any money. I can't believe that nat gas going up to a couple of, from $2 to $2.63 is terrible for it. But
yeah, well, apparently it is. No one's expecting any stellar results, apparently, because that is looking really just an ugly chart, ugly paper flow. I'll bet you 9-1 this thing goes hard. It's super hard to borrow here real soon.
Yeah, it's. I'm actually going to look at it right now. It is already a little hard to borrow, Mark.
Yeah.
So it's got Uggy written all over it already.
Yep. This may be a strategy letter stock coming out tomorrow, Andrew.
Next thing you know, we'll start trading like Sears, where it'll be up 20% tomorrow.
June 13-11 put spread for not like 70 cents maybe. I don't know if
that's not a bad trade at all. No, and the guy bought out of the money, so it's a good spot to.
Yeah, I mean there's some serious
to sell into. And the ball's got some
40
juice.
points of skew between the June 13-19 put spread or $1.30. The June 13-9 put spread for $1.30. That's not too bad.
I would do that trade. Maybe even, the guy bought the 11 puts. I mean, that might even be you could do for a 130. What about like the June 13-8 1x2 put spread?
I was just starting to think of 1x2s there.
June 13 which?
8-13 1x2 put spread.
Yeah. I like that.
The June 8 puts.
Yeah.
Well, the June 8 puts are 35-cent bid. They don't have.
Let's do the 9s then. How much are the 9s?
50-cent bid.
You could probably sell for 55 cents. So you could pay you pay 65 cents for that.
Yeah, you're clean down to $7.65.
Yeah, it ain't gonna go that far. It'll go down, but it won't go down that far. So that looks nice.
Not a bad little trade.
No, not at all. And you could
sounds like the trades we've done before.
Yeah, you could actually fly that off for margin wise for not too bad. That's not a bad little trader.
No, not bad at all.
Thank you, option
pit
insight.
So
wait a minute.
Right.
Does that mean we have to thank ourselves?
Yep.
Hold on, I'm patting myself on the back.
Didn't your parents teach you don't thank yourself?
Yeah, okay. No. I'll thank all of you. And thank you, me, for being awesome. Now,
the other one I was looking at, they're starting to look at, little more nuances. If you take a look at the VIX, obviously my favorite product, that June vol, is really getting up there. And what I was starting to think I don't really want to pick a delta in VIX yet. But what I'm wondering is it worth taking a nibble at just selling the vol of vol? So you can start looking at some kind of call out of the money. You sell that, hedge it with the futures, and then look to possibly sell a put against that, and just wind up looking to just make some money from the possibility of either IV sticking where it is or coming in a little bit. And obviously, with the situation we have going into more Greece nonsense, that's something to be careful with, but it's definitely something I'm starting to look at.
Yeah, I think that makes some sense. What about like a short strangle might make some sense, and a delta neutral hedge short strangle could make some sense. The only thing I'm worried about is that I could see this thing popping a 40, and quickly. So I'd love to have. My thought would be, I would want to be short at the right areas, but I don't know that I'd want to not have the gamma. So as painful as it might be, I almost consider almost like an AEO spread might be an interesting trade, where you're long the June, short the July, and delta neutral, which means you're actually short, long the basis of the spread. What do you think about something like that?
That works too.
Yeah. Anywho, with that, let's roll out of the odd block and we will move into the strategy block.
The strategy block.
Now, the strategy block is brought to you by Options Express. They are, if you're looking for great online options execution, you don't need to go any further than OX. They got great customer service, great front end, decent rates, good people, and you really can't do a lot better than OX. So, support our sponsors. OX has given this show a lot of support. If you like what we're doing, then go check out OX, especially if you like options. I mean, certain other brokerage platforms, since they've gotten bought out, have turned into junk. So, if you're married to one of them, maybe it's time to start looking to see if the grass is greener, because I'm telling you, it probably is now. So, a couple things I want to talk about in the strategy block, and that's Facebook. Start number one, guys. Facebook, the official price is $38. Buy or sell? What do you think?
Ooh, no. There's not the third option.
What's the it doesn't have options listed yet.
No. Meaning you said buy or sell, and there's the third option of stand aside.
Yeah, or stand aside. What do you think?
I think I will be standing aside until they list options.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to go hard to borrow, right? Because they're providing a ton of liquidity. $38, it's probably going to pop to. I mean, if it pops to 50, where do you think it could? It could open at 50 tomorrow potentially.
It definitely could. I mean, I got a bulletin from my broker talking all about how they were changing what good to cancel orders were doing and such ahead of this. Which anecdotally, you can imagine how many people have orders sitting out there for tomorrow morning.
I certainly would not do market on open. I can tell you that much. Yeah, I mean, I think $38, $100 billion is probably pretty close to fair value. I
would disagree on it being fair value, but I don't disagree that it'll probably open there.
What I mean is that that's not like linked. I mean, Facebook belongs having a valuation like that a lot more than like Poupon or LinkedIn, right?
Fair
it actually
enough.
has a business model, is what I would say. So, I mean, I'm not sure I would want to buy it or sell it here, but I can tell you it's certainly an interesting little play. So, Andrew, you've dealt with IPOs for a long time, all right? What advice would you be giving our people as they see it trade, besides wait for the options, which is what I would say?
The thing is, normally they trade higher, and then they usually come off a little bit. You've got to wait that first rush is going to be everybody that didn't get it on the IPO are going to bid it up. So, intraday, will you have a shot at a run higher? Probably, but it's pretty spec. And it's unless you really want to own it, it's pretty tough to buy it on the day of when it hits the secondary market. So,
yeah.
A lot of guys actually are already they've bought it on the IPO and they might be selling it today.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a nice trade for a lot of people. So, it's still beyond me why this stock wasn't auctioned like Google did.
Yeah, it's a little odd. Well, it's because Facebook is. They're another evil empire. They're in the order of evilness. I believe it goes Apple, then Facebook, then Microsoft, and then what? Google, then Microsoft. How would you rate? What would you say are the 5 most evil companies?
Well, ones that went away. What was the guy from Napster who did that? Plaxo.
Yeah.
That not a whole lot of publicity, but one of the most annoyingly evil products / companies that ever came about. You get emails all the time trying to snag all your contacts. I don't know. I definitely think Google and Facebook are up there, given just the amount of personal information that they are the caretakers of about you. That I don't necessarily get so excited about having any two companies know that much about all these individual people.
Yeah. So who do you think's more evil, Apple or ExxonMobil?
Define evil. Like Dr. Evil, finger in the side of the mouth?
Exactly, yes.
Oh, if it's Dr. Evil, it has to be oil. I mean, come on. You have the president talks about the evil oil speculators, the evil oil companies.
Well,
you got to go with oil.
I realize that, but let's not forget what Apple does. I mean, Apple has like 9,000 people in basically an indentured servant camp building phones.
No, that's not fair to say. Foxconn is the contractor for HP, for Toshiba, for whatever. Apple just happens to be the biggest one, and so they get connected with it.
And then Apple. So it's great that all these Occupy Wall Street people are like evil, and then they're carrying an iPhone that was basically made in complete indentured servitude. It's very funny.
Well, let's be honest. Anyone who's carrying a cell phone, it most likely or has a pretty good shot of being made at Foxconn.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Why don't we own that stock? Why don't we own Foxconn? Is that a stock you can buy, or is it just listed in a?
I don't think it is a stock you can buy, and they're evil too. So with that, let's leave the evil block and head into Around the Block.
Around the block.
So, Marcus, what are you going to be watching for the tomorrow and early next week?
Tomorrow, I'll for sure I'm very interested to see how Sears trades again tomorrow. After it's been proverbially hard to borrow forever. They had their earnings today, had a big pop, couldn't hold on to it. Trading down, I'll definitely be watching what they're doing. Same thing because I have some positions going out in First Solar. I'll be watching First Solar. And unfortunately, I think I'll be watching the TLT continue to be going higher. I keep wanting to get short the TLT, but it just certainly seems like that's the wrong idea for now.
My one of the trades that we talked about and by now it'll be 3 days old, but one of the trades we really talked about in Option Pit was long the VIX 23-29 call spread for 140, short the 121, was it the 121 or the 122, 125 call spread at about $1.40. I think that there's an excellent pairs trade between bonds and VIX that is out there. And, bonds will be in your face longer than you can be solvent, but pairing it with VIX, I think there's a real trade there, as one has to bonds have to ease up or the VIX has to explode.
You could also look at, I think we were talking about you could also do really cheap, slightly out of the money TBT call spreads.
Yeah.
Compare those two, and the TBT call spreads may be a little cheaper and a little better risk reward. I was looking at those, right before the close. Didn't really price anything up yet, though.
Well, for some reason, I think there's not going to be a whole lot of difference between today's TBT price and tomorrow's.
Yeah.
I mean, possibly it will be. I think they're trying to divide. I love the idea of the TBT, by the way, and I love the idea of the call spreads, because you want to own something you can live with if the TLT still finds some other place. I think right now it's in the stratosphere, and it is looking to land on the moon at some point. I don't know when.
Yeah, it's looking to enter the next galaxy.
If you believe, they put the bonds on the moon. Bonds on the moon.
But I do like the TB, and I like if you probably
TB
take
a little bit up
after June.
That's exactly.
And because you got to give this Greek election time, and I'm just reading some more headlines coming out. Basically the Greeks are telling the Europeans, well, if you don't give us credit, we're not going to pay back our debt. So.
Wow, Greeks are brilliant. Nobody ever, whatever. Greeks, great at philosophy, terrible at finance.
I heard someone say the other day the Greek whatchamacallit, country pretty much peaked in 800 BC and has been downhill ever since.
As soon as Socrates drank that poison.
Yeah.
Well, I think what that defines is exponential decay. How close they get to zero but never hit it. They just keep going and going, and they keep having themselves every 50 years or so.
Yep.
Getting to the bottom.
Does anybody track or trade the what is it? The V Stocks VIX, basically a European Stocks VIX.
I anecdotally look at it. I don't pay attention. It's got to be through the roof, right?
Well, this was one of those interesting things, of maybe playing a little bit of the not decoupling, but as everyone said on TV, the least stinky shirt in the hamper.
Yeah.
Is, at some point does the European VIX wind up being high enough that you definitely are maybe wanting to sell that, or you want to buy that and play that against our...
An easier one would be VXEEM, that's now over 40.
Does it? I know they listed that. I haven't traded it.
It doesn't trade. You can trade the futures, and at well over 40%, that might be your trade there, guys. Because EM tracks the S&P really well. So that might be your play. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Marcus. I'm obviously going to be watching Facebook tomorrow. I have this theory that tomorrow we're going to bottom. We're going to kind of hit our bottom. We're going to hit our temporary bottom. And we might get a little bounce from there. But I think we're going to kind of threaten 30 tomorrow for some reason. I don't know. I just get a weird feeling about it. Does that make sense at all, or?
Well, what I don't like is in the past we'd kind of see these ebbs and flows of vol throughout the day, and now we're kind of just seeing the chug-a-lug upward, day in day out, which is that it just seems to me that folks are continually getting worried, buying protection, getting more worried, buying protection, and there's been no exhale.
Yeah.
Normally you'll see it gets bid up and then someone comes in and sells it. You can see no one wants to come in and step into this whatsoever.
So, Marcus, would you say that you're waiting to exhale?
I set them up, you knock them down.
All right. Well, with that, let's Marcus, you got anything you want to plug?
Just if anybody wants to check out my witty quick commentary on Twitter, you can follow me at @mfelker, FELKER.
Yeah,
it's a good Twitter handle. Marcus has good stuff. He doesn't have junk.
Yeah.
So.
Nope. I attempt to I don't over tweet, and I attempt to only publish. Most of the stuff is around trading. Some stuff around little cool technology tidbits I find.
Yep. If you're as far as option pick goes, if you're interested in taking our silver course, which is our introduction to options course, use code weeklies and you can do it for $79. Our more advanced course, the gold course, now through next week, I will sell it and this was Marcus's idea, so you better get in early. I will sell the course to you at the price of an ounce of gold. All right? Which is right around $1,600. It's normally $1,950.
Quick, buy gold futures to lock in your price.
That's exactly right. So with that, Marcus, Andrew, kind of a unique one today, but I thought this was a lot of fun.
It was, and I think market sentiment wise, I love all this. I swear we're going to be doing this until the middle of June or till the Europeans finally say. I really hope they don't cave on Greece, to be honest. I think they've got to I hope they make an example out of them and we flush the toilet with them once and for all.
Yeah.
And let them go try to borrow money.
Yep.
Screw them.
Sadly, I think that it will be more of the same without a resolution. That's the easiest, most politically expedient route, and not surprisingly, it seems to be what they like to do.
Let's suck down all that extra debt and eat it. And I think
the Europeans, look at haven't we figured out how the Europeans operate by now?
Appease.
Appease. The Greeks are pulling a World War II style appeasement campaign on Europe. It's brilliant. And so with that, Andrew, Marcus, thank you so much for helping out. Andrew, you're here regularly, but Marcus, it was great having you as a guest host.
Sure.
And we look forward to having you on again.
Yep, anytime.
I hope everybody has a great week, and Longo will be back with the rest of the crew next week on the Option Block.
Become a part of the Option Block. Just visit www.theoptionsinsider.com/forum to post a question for the hosts. You can also submit questions to twitter.com/optionblock or leave a voicemail at 312-544-9356. Make it interesting and your question just might make it on the air. The Options Block is property of the Options Insider Incorporated. All rights reserved. The preceding program was a presentation of the Options Insider Radio Network. For more programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com/radio or search for Options Insider Radio in iTunes.